Okay, remember everybody, we're going to be quiet so that the computer can record. Remember to be tabula rasa. And with that, let's give some energy to our Prime Minister, Emily Cha.
Woo! Yeah, girl, yeah.
Good fall.
Wait, so is this gonna be in my face?
No.
No, it's
Okay. Can you not see?
He minimized it. So
Yeah,
we don't
but
see.
he can't.
She doesn't need to see my face. It's okay.
just put it to the side a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Just wanted to thank my opponents and the timekeeper and the speaker.
They're here.
And
Yeah.
to the wonderful Peanut Gallery for being here today. Small amount of people show up. Alright, so democracy. It's a system of government in which power is vested in the people. This house believes in leaving marriage equality to the states. This house consists of people of the states both for and against marriage equality who want their vote to matter. Marriage equality is a consensual union between adults, and the states are you, the people. The federal government should not have a voice in the vote on marriage equality, and here's why. First, states are being overruled and our voices are slowly dying. Currently, 37 states are for and 13 are against marriage equality. 26 of those 37 states for marriage equality voted against it, and later were overturned by the federal government. It doesn't seem like this is a country that believes in democracy. Jeffrey Stewart Sutton, a federal judge over the U.S. Court of Appeals in charge of Circuit 9, has rejected all appeals concerning marriage equality. He said, "The more fundamental question is who decides. The profound change in the institution of marriage should be decided not by an intermediate court like mine, but by the less expedient but usually reliable work of the state democratic process." In a 3-hour case appealing his decision, he repeatedly asked marriage equality advocates why they wanted to use the courts to hasten an outcome they were gradually winning through elections. Since no one directly answered his question, he later said, "I thought the best way to get respect and dignity is through the democratic process." In California in 2008, Proposition 8, which was against marriage equality, was voted for and approved by 52% of California voters. Only 5 years later, in 2013, the federal courts overturned California's ban and made marriage equality legal. Like I said earlier, 52% voted yes and 46% voted no. It seems like only half and half, but when you break it down by county, you'll see that it wasn't anywhere close. Yes on Prop 8 meant that they were voting against marriage equality. In the green, those who voted against marriage equality is in the green, and those who voted against it are in the red. So obviously, 52% is a large portion of California. 7 million people voted, and every one of those voices were hushed by the federal government. According to the U.S. Census, they have reported that California is the nation's second lowest rate of registered voters. They said California's low voting turnout is due to part of the growing number that people think that they don't have a role in government. This is a huge problem. It's the participation and civic engagement of people that make the democratic process work. When so many voices are not being heard, it raises the question of whether our federal government is actually fulfilling its obligation to represent the people.
You're here.
My second point is marriage is too broad of a topic to narrow down to one single right or law. Marriage means many different things according to the time, place, and of the culture and people involved. No one is correct. There simply are different forms of marriage. It is the right of no culture to impose its own ideas of marriage on other cultures, and vice versa. Some people believe in multiple marriage partners, some believe in having only straight partners, and some believe placing age barriers in different ways. None are right, all are different. Let's take a look at some different definitions of marriage over the world. In the Western countries, marriage is an individual choice made by couples. People in these countries don't see a point in having the law come into their marriage. They believe that if you need a legal document, then the relationship wasn't good to begin with. In India, marriage is truly an ancient institution. Since the early times, marriage was a strategic alliance between families, and usually the youngsters have no say in the process. In the Middle East, cousin marriages are extremely common. Robin Fox, an Anglo-American anthropologist who studied at London School of Economics and Political Science, has written about many topics including marriage system and social sciences. He stated that a majority of the marriages throughout history were between first and second cousins. Now you're probably wondering, why does this matter? Why are we thinking about all these different countries? But here's the connection. The United States is made up of all of these cultures, religions, and beliefs. These cultures all have marriage in some sort, but they all practice differently. The word marriage holds too many definitions. Defining marriage in just one way would be too difficult for the federal law to do because marriage is too broad. Like the saying goes, you don't do what you don't know, and Congress shouldn't make laws on subjects they cannot define. Yeah.
Here. My question for you is, would the federal government then pull out of everything that it's already done with marriage, or would it just leave that?
We'll talk about that later.
Point of clarification with that as well. They don't have to technically give a counterclaim.
Yeah.
I think they just have to.
So this one.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay. So my third point is marriage is a religious institution. The states used to not recognize marriage way back in the day, meaning they did not perform them. This power was left up to the church and only the church. It wasn't until later on in the state's history that the government started to perform marriages and required that you have a marriage license. Before that, it didn't matter, and as long as the church had record of it, it was fine. Since marriages in any form are considered a religious institution, Congress cannot recognize it. While the Constitution was being written, the Founding Fathers stressed that there be a separation of church and state. In the First Amendment, it states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment or a religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The phrase separation of church and state is often used by Congress today. This phrase was first used by Thomas Jefferson as he was expressing the understanding of the function of the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. These two clauses are linked with the First Amendment. They both state that they guarantee freedom from the government interference in both private and public religious affairs. Let me just finish. Looking into the past, marriage is considered to be a religious institution, and by a majority of the people. Our point is proven that since marriage is a religious institution, Congress does not have a voice in this debate. This House believes in leaving marriage equality to the states because marriage is too broad of a subject, and by the federal law coming in and declaring what marriage is, that would be too narrow-minded. Since it's such a broad subject, it's up for the individuals to interpret for themselves what marriage is. That can only be done by leaving the vote to the states. Plus, marriage is seen as a religious institution, which means that this falls out of the federal jurisdiction. We, the people, to form a perfect union, don't need the federal government to be a part of this decision. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about marriage equality and if it's right or wrong. It's about who determines the fact, and it should be we, the people. It should be you.
Here. Woo! Oh, man!
I'm going to go ahead and just have these be separate videos.
First and last points.
So her first point was that voters don't feel